Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Message of Hope. And today I have the great pleasure to be with Jonny Bowden, who is a coach, a trainer, a mentor, and he was a mentor of mine while I was doing the Clarity Coach training. Welcome, Jonny.
Hey Martine, and hello everyone who's watching. It's good to be here.
And I'm going to ask you the same eternal question. How does having this understanding, how does that help you navigate either the COVID, the lockdown, or whatever other stress there is in your life?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say is my best understanding of this thing that we call the understanding is that it's universal. And what that means to me is it kind of applies to everyone at all times, in all situations, always. And so what I see a lot of at the moment with the COVID situation is sort of big and current, is a lot of people who are kind of treating the current situation as different from normal life or, the rest of existence, the rest of history, whatever it might be. And I kind of come back on that when I sort of go, nah, like either this is universal or it's not. If you're signing up the idea that it's universal, then it applies now. Now, sure, like experientially, we sometimes we'll see it, sometimes we won't. We're all kind of in and out at different times, but that to me is the thing that I kind of like to keep as home base. And what I find and what I found both in the current situation, life in general, work, play, family, other stuff, is this thing can be really, really helpful. It's kind of difficult to make comparisons because obviously I've never been through this before. No one who's listening to this has ever had this moment ever before. So it's difficult to kind of go, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if this had happened, how would I have been sort of pre all of this? But in as much as I could kind of take a guess or sort of speak in more general terms, I used to make an awful lot out of not very much at all. And now my experience of life is very different, and I often get comments from people that I'm sort of the calm one, the chilled out one when everyone else is going off, when stuff's going down. And the truth is that, whilst yes, absolutely, there's stuff going on in the world, I'd say pretty much throughout this whole thing, I've experienced peace of mind. Again, the whole range of emotions, our amusement, is there concern? Is there stuff going on? Is there things that need doing and dealing with? Yeah, absolutely. But the one thing I know, and I'd say my kind of knowing of the truth of this has got to a place where, I see this as universal. It always applies. It's always playing out. The variable is whether I'm seeing it or not whether it's actually true. And how that affects my experience and how that's made a difference for me, how that's changed things. I would say made life easier, more pleasant, more fun, is that in the challenging moments, I feel a groundedness, a sense of peace that has me kind of clearer online to deal with whatever situation I'm in, whether it's a fraught, tense one or a global pandemic or somebody's double parked and I can't get out of my parking space, something mundane and banal. So for anyone who's listening to this who's feeling it right now, great, brilliant, hope this is entertaining and amusing. For anyone who's listening to this who's worried, who's scared, or who's in any sort of negative emotion, I would just say keep looking in the direction that if you're even listening to this, you're probably already pointing. If you're willing to kind of keep bringing it back to you, make it about your understanding rather than the situation on the outside, that things can change, and that as you get more and more of a glimpse of this, more and more of a line of sight on it, it's possible for it to do, I think, pretty incredible things to your experience, as it's done for mine, and as I know it's done for you as well, Martine.
Yes, so it did.
I
call it Human Being 101.
I like that.
So that's why I call it. And yes, we all get caught up. We forget. what we call back, because we've always been living in uncertainty. We're just good at predicting that what we're going to do or was going to happen the way we want it to happen. Um, but this understanding does bring us back to the now.
Yeah. And there is something very, I mean, I spoke a minute ago about it being universal, but there's other universals. So things like the fact that there'll be times when we all see it and there'll be times when we all don't. Like, I remember the time when I used to think the game was about, when I get to the level where I never fall out of it, then I'll be okay. And it really isn't like that. So again, I don't know if this is helpful, but two things that I just thought of to throw out was number one, so number one is kind of a clue, and the clue that I'd throw out, the sort of the breadcrumb trail, is whenever I'm in a place of like heightened emotionality, whether that's fear or anxiety or frustration. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment. It's having people getting really frustrated, the government this and Donald Trump that, and whatever else. So anytime I'm in a place of heightened emotion, again, it can often be more kind of compelling that no, that thing on the outside is like doing this to me. But that I found a really useful clue to actually, it's almost like the more it looks like it's something else or someone else, the more that's a clue to kind of to get the mirror out and have a look there and start there. And then, the second thing is that if I do ever find that I've dropped out of it or that I've lost sight of it or that I've had a reaction or that whatever, like, come on, we all go there. It's all good. Back on the horse. Maybe you can sort of do that yourself just by, you have some thinking that gives you certain feelings and you have a different thinking that gives you a different feeling. Maybe it's a case of call a friend or call somebody who's, connected to this stuff who can kind of guide you back. But yeah, those two things, sort of seeing that when I'm in a place of heightened emotion, that's often a clue, not as to how right I am, but to how badly I'm not seeing it. And the second one, if I ever do fall off the horse, dust yourself off, forgive yourself, have a biscuit, take 5 minutes, back on the horse. It's all good. We're all human. We all go there.
Yeah, and it's very important that it's not because we have this understanding that we float on a little cloud being Zen 24 hours a day. And the important part is not to beat ourselves up for the time that we don't see it, because we're still human.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially, well, always, but even more so for somebody who's maybe still at the stage where they still feel like they're kind of finding their feet with this stuff. I sort of see it, but I kind of don't. I kind of get what you're on about, but sometimes I see it and sometimes I don't. Yeah, that kind of, I guess you might say compassion or self-love or acceptance, super, super important. Like somewhere in those sentiments is a kind of certain feeling or certain frequency or certain energetic tone that there's something in that. There's one of my mentors, somebody, again, a lot of the people listening will probably be familiar with Chip Chipman. He used to say there's information in the feeling. I think that's so true. It's just not always the information that on a surface level analysis our ego would tell us is available. Sometimes we need to be willing to kind of suspend disbelief and just pause for a moment and wait for it all to settle down. But we all have that ability as well. It's all good.
And the beauty is that we don't stay stuck so as long.
Yeah, I would say so. I definitely see a trend in myself, in people I work with, in others who kind of look in this direction, that over time it isn't that you'll get to a point where you never go there, but when you do, it won't last as long, it won't be as bad, and you'll probably come out of it quicker as well. So that seems to be the trend.
There's hope.
There absolutely is. I think for us as individuals, like kind of for us as a community, and you know what, Martin, I'll go out on a limb and I'll say for the world, there's a lot of craziness going on out there at the moment. There's a lot of unprecedented things, a lot of decisions being taken or not being taken. lot of circumstantial stuff has got kicked and stirred up. But yeah, I think that on an individual level, we all have the ability to have any experience of any set of circumstances, like absolutely any experience. Yeah, and I'm hopeful for humanity as well. I don't sort of see this as the end of days. I'm not worried about the future of our planet. You know what? Even if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, so be it. I think peace of mind is still available.
I don't think we're there. I think there's a rise in vibration. Now look at all the people that are in the 3 Ps now, and it's growing bigger and bigger. All the people that follow Eckhart Tolle, which pretty much the same message. All the people that follow Adyashanti, pretty much the same message. Sadhguru, pretty much the same message. Now, so there is collective movement, I think, to go towards that direction. And I think it's hopeful.
Yeah, and I think like one thing that I've really seen in the last year or so more and more is paradox. So sort of two things kind of coming together that don't look like they should necessarily go together, but are actually on a deeper level are actually kind of beautifully aligned. And I think the sort of the raising consciousness in humanity, I think, you know, in the various communities we mix in and others like them, yeah, that's sort of gone hand in hand with this craziness, and yeah, you know, as above so below, all of that. But yeah, I think there's reason to be hopeful for all of us.
Thank you, Jonny, for your time.
Martine, you're very, very welcome. Yeah, and I hope this has been, well, fun, interesting, and useful for anyone who's been listening.
And if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Well, the easiest place, if you're on the wonderful thing that is Facebook, by all means, look me up, Jonny Bowden. You should see my name somewhere on the screen there. Or with my colleague Nikki, we've got a public forum, a community called the Upspiring Collective. Upspiring is UPSPIRING. I have to still remember how to spell that, collective. So yeah, if you want to come hang out with us there, we talk about all this crazy stuff and a whole lot more. But yeah, we'd love to connect with you that way too.
Thank you, Jonny.
Martine, you're welcome. It's great to speak to you.
Cheers.
Bye.